it's working now.
And it's not showing it to me. Okay, we're just gonna ignore that part. Okay.
So you can't see yourself?
Nope. So if I look ugly, you better tell me.
Well, you look gorgeous.
Alright.
Oh my gosh. So how have you been? It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, we're in the middle of the semester. Midterms. I have a paper due in 2 days.
Woo!
And so far I only have an outline. But it's 5 pages. So that's doable. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually I just totally forgot that we didn't introduce ourselves.
Well, people have listened to the first episode. They already know who we are, right?
We may. But just in case, I'm going to do it again.
Okay.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome to Dead in the Heart of Texas. I am your host, Candace.
And I'm your other host, Katie.
And our podcast focuses on true stories, all from the state of Texas. I meant to say true crime and paranormal stories in Texas. We're still working on the introduction. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, feel free to comment on our Twitter or Facebook pages if you have ideas.
Yes. You can follow us on Twitter at DITHOT podcast. And that actually, when coming up with an acronym, the first thing I stumbled upon was DITOT podcast. So, yeah.
We can do hashtag DHOT, like DHOT podcast, the hot podcast.
DHOT. I kind of like DITOT. It's kind of funny. But we're still working on that as well.
But DHOT, it's kind of like very like VHOT, but DHOT, like, I don't know.
I wanted it to be at Dead in the Heart of Texas. Maybe I can still make it that for our Twitter.
I'm trying to like think of it in my head, but I'm not a visual person when it comes to this stuff.
Why did I think of doing Dead in the Heart of Texas? And even if I had to shorten it, I could just put TX instead of Texas.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
So yeah, you have papers due. How's wedding planning going?
It's going okay. We think we found a venue. We might pitch the date a date later than we thought, but this place has caterers and newer packages to where we can get catering and photography, and it's like really beautiful. We took an impromptu tour today, so that was pretty cool. Bless you.
Thank you. I haven't been sneezing all day until all of a sudden. But yeah, I feel like that's the way to go with caterers for sure. It's probably easier and cheaper that way.
Yeah, and it has so many options in terms of food, so we can find one in our budget.
Hey.
How's your life been?
Good. I just got back from Vegas last night. I went to Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum while I was there.
Cool.
Let me tell you, it was
inspiration?
Huh?
Any inspiration for the podcast?
Yeah, I have a couple of stories that I want to do now. But let's see. Zach Bagans was there at the museum. I didn't get to see him, but they said he was there. And I swear towards the end, we were waiting to go into the gift shop, but we had to wait for the other group to leave. And we were standing next to the security room, and our tour guide kind of opened, I don't know, I heard someone talking from the security room because it was kind of quiet in our room. And I swear to God, it sounded like Zach. And for those of you who don't know, Zach Bagans is the host from Ghost Adventures.
Oh.
So my future husband.
You have many future husbands, by the way.
But, if all 23 of them fall through, there's Zach. Just kidding. I don't know how many are on my list anymore. Hello.
Oh. Okay.
Also,
No.
my mom is in the hospital right now.
Oh.
And
Is she okay?
She's okay. She's doing much better. She just had a really severe asthma attack last night.
Oh, no.
My mom's cat is being needy right now. I'm gonna.
Oh.
Just jumped up on my lap and almost missed me. So she grabbed onto my leg with her claws.
Oh.
Anyways, so she had a severe asthma attack last night, and she had to go to the hospital because the asthma attack caused a panic attack. and she couldn't breathe. They rushed her to the ER, and they couldn't get the breathing to they couldn't get her to calm down, and so they almost had to stick I don't know what it's called, but it's like that tube that goes down your throat to help you breathe.
Oh, okay. Visual enough. Okay.
Anyways, I'm not a doctor.
Is she doing okay now?
Yeah, she's doing much better. At the time, her heart rate was so high, she should have been having a mild heart attack. But she didn't. But the doctors do think there might be something wrong with her heart, so they did a few CAT scans and tests, but they didn't tell her anything. So I guess they didn't find anything. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
This is a wake-up call for her to just kind of slow down a bit and take care of herself.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's nonstop, that woman. I don't know how she does it. That's been my life.
Well, I'm glad you had a fun time in Vegas. Maybe we'll go together soon, one day.
One day. I think my mom wants to go when she feels better because she wants to go to the Haunted Museum as well.
Okay, well, if I'm not in school, let's go.
Okay. Also, I still think we should go to Chicago for your bachelorette party.
Well, you're in charge of that.
Yes.
Oh
I guess I can start planning that soon.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll get to that. Should we go ahead and jump in?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Do you want me to go first?
I guess I could do one. Or do you want to do one true crime, one paranormal, and then do the next podcast on a different one? Or do it all at once?
Yeah. So I was thinking for this episode I could do the true crime story and you could do the paranormal.
Or how about I go first then?
Alrighty.
So, today I'm going to tell you guys about the infamous black-eyed children.
Oh my god!
Because nothing is scarier than an innocent little kid with, pitch black eyes staring at you with an evil smirk, right?
Ever since I've heard about the black-eyed kids, I've been, super freaked out. There will be times when I'm, driving in my car, not listening to anything spooky or whatever, and I'm just like, what if I stop my car and a black-eyed kid knocks on my window?
Oh my gosh.
They freak me out so much, and I know, you're going to tell me the story, then I'm going to have to go to sleep after this, and I'm home alone right now.
I would read it first, and then we can talk about other stuff, like murder.
Yay, 'cause it's so much better. But yeah, I'm, home alone. It's just me and my brother. So I'm I don't have anyone I can go to if I get scared. So I'll be shut up and go to bed.
That's why you binge watch Friends or Bob's Burgers, right?
Yeah, I'll probably put Friends or I'll finish watching Halsey's Saturday Night Live.
Nice.
I kind of lied to you when you're I called you and I'm I'm finishing up a few notes. No, I was watching her performance. No.
Yes, my fiance is listening to us record this because he's our biggest fan, I think. And he's pretending he's not listening. Okay, he's smart. Never mind.
But yeah,
all right.
Halsey spilled the tea on her SNL performance.
Oh.
She announced that G-Eazy cheated on her. What a fool.
What a dingus. Okay.
Yeah. I think the cats are trying to get into my room.
Well, they will protect you from black-eyed children.
But no, it sounds like someone's pounding on the door. What if it's a black-eyed kid?
They can't go in. Okay. One thing I've learned.
Sorry.
They can't enter unless they are invited. So, which makes me think they're vampires. I literally thought. All right.
Well, I'll let you start.
I am going to be talking about an experience by another journalist named Brian Bethel. And this took place in Abilene, Texas in 1996.
Okay.
So basically, generally, a lot of these encounters with the black-eyed children took place in the 90s, late 90s, 1995 and above, or later. And so basically, Brian was parked outside a movie theater, and he was in his car. I think he was getting ready to go, but then all of a sudden, two children appeared and knocked on his window, and first he was filled with this sense of dread, and he physically couldn't move. It was kind of he felt like he was shocked and stuck in place. He said he was gripped with fear and he just didn't know why. So basically he rolled down the window And the kids asked him to drive them home so they could get cash for the movie theater or to watch a movie. But then Brian realized, wait, the last showing for the movie they wanted to see had already started earlier. And so by the time he would drive them
Be
home,
right here. Can you hear that?
I can't hear anything.
Okay, it stopped now.
Don't worry, there's no black
It was
children.
just my cat's paw under the door. Oh my god.
Okay.
Oh, I'm already so freaked out. Okay.
Oh, no.
My cat in, so he doesn't or she doesn't scare me again. I don't know which one.
Alright. Oh, poor Candace. Josh, I'm scaring her.
Oh my god. Okay.
Okay, so he was gripped with fear, like you are right now. He realized, like, oh, by the time I drive them home and back, the movie will be over, so why are they asking me to do this now? And he said that, he came up with reasons why he couldn't, but the kids were, like, persistent and kept saying, no, you have to take us. We need the ride home to get the money. No, you have to drive us. He was, like, not looking at them all the time because, you know, when you're trying to find an excuse and you feel awkward, eye contact's not really a thing. When he looked at them again, both of their eyes had, like, turned pitch black. After he gave another reason he couldn't, they started screaming at him, and they were trying to open the door to his car. They were like, we can't get in the car unless you let us in or invite us in. And, like, he was still, like, filled with fear, but he found the energy to, like, just start the car and go out of there. And then, like, of course, they were trying to chase him and stuff like that for a little bit, but eventually they disappeared. And so that was one encounter. It was like a boy and his older brother, supposedly. Let me just tell you the general description of black-eyed children, because there were other people who said they encountered two boys also, and they think they were the same ones. Like, some people think these are actually just, like, demons taking the forms of children. But basically, black-eyed children are usually between the ages 6 and 16. Their clothing usually looks kind of outdated. They're very pale. And, of course, the black eyes. And then they've mostly been encountered while hitchhiking, panhandling, or they've even been, like, found on the doorsteps of residential houses, trying to get in or use a phone. Like, I think one of the other stories was them going up to someone and asking to use a phone to call someone. But this was later than the 90s. But this is when kids already had a lot of cell phones. So it was really weird that they needed to borrow a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there have been sightings of black-eyed children since the 1950s. Like, I don't know, a lot of the stories were about the supposed brothers, I think. And there was actually one where another writer saw them while he was going into, like, a gas station or, like, a small grocery market, because he was from a small town. And the boys were trying to talk to another driver, but then when he looked over, one of them turned around and saw him and started walking toward him. And so, of course, he, like, goes into the grocery store and tells the clerk what's going on, and the clerk, like, locks the door and is like, no, there have been complaints about these kids and weird sightings. And then something happened. The boys also couldn't get into the store, and were like, no, you have to invite us in. And both, like, adults were, like, filled with a similar sense of fear and couldn't move. And so a lot of stuff went down, and the next day, like, the guy found the strength to, like, go back to his car and, like, speed home, because, come on. And again, they were trying to follow him for a little bit, and the clerk was long gone. And so the next day, I don't know why, he went back to this store, and he asked about the clerk, and it turns out that the clerk had quit his job and then was in the process of moving out of town.
Oh my gosh. Because
yeah, we don't know what happened between the clerk and these kids, but I don't blame him for getting out of town.
Oh my god, this is so spooky.
I know. Beware, if you're ever driving, lock your doors. And if you see children or anyone approaching your car at night or even during the day and you don't know them, just go and ignore them.
That's what I always do.
Lock the door.
I was walking to my car after getting a cup of coffee, and there are, like, these 3 hooligans walking around. I was like,
oh, I hate that.
Oh, and I overheard them like, should we ask her? And I'm like, no, don't. Ask me, but don't.
And that's when I either call someone, or I've literally been tempted to just ask one of the employees, like, can you walk me to my car? Or something like that. Or I don't know, I'll wait till they leave until I leave.
Yeah.
But, like, safety first, dude. But seriously, look out for pale 6-year-old to 16-year-olds, especially if they look like they're in outdated clothing. Unless, of course, they were in an elementary school play and had to wear it. You never know. But yeah, if they look like a vampire and have black eyes, look out.
One time my grandma interviewed someone and they showed up to the interview with like pitch black eyes. Like it wasn't their normal eyes. They were wearing contacts.
Oh,
Or maybe they were. I don't know.
oh.
And she was like, all I could think of was that episode of Supernatural where the demons possessed everyone and their eyes went pitch black.
Oh, not good. Yeah, I think they've made like either some movies or done other research and stories about these children, but I was too freaked out to look into it more.
Dude, I have such a good idea for a play about black-eyed children.
That's just asking for it, dude.
I know. Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, I need to get on writing that play because it's going to be so good. But second of all, I'm the kind of person who believes that if you talk or think about something and you put enough like energy into the thought, you will manifest it. So even if the experience isn't like exactly true, like it's not an actual paranormal I don't know. I just think if you think about it and give it energy, you're just asking for it.
So do you want to meet a black-eyed child?
Absolutely not.
Okay, then
Don't
don't
want it.
Hey, don't come chasing after you if you do.
I was so afraid I was gonna bring something home from that Zach Bagans haunted museum. I was like trying to get Selena to like lend me one of her like blessed rosaries. I was like, I don't want to go there because my rosary is MIA right now.
Oh,
I think it's still in a box from when I moved back home.
oh man.
Anyways, continue.
Well, that's all I had. Like I said, I did see some like pictures of the black-eyed children, and they were all freaky. And I kept thinking, were these like the inspiration for all of the scary children in like horror movies? Probably. But oh my gosh. But I think it's just like a safety thing now. It's like if you're driving, lock your door. If you're going home, keep the blinds closed. I don't know.
I have something to add about black-eyed kids.
What?
I think last year I was able to meet these guys who had their own ghost show on like Discovery Channel. I think it was called a Ghost Lab. And they were at the Paramount and Ski. And they were doing, I think you had to pay extra for the investigation, or we had tickets for the investigation, but we didn't stay because we were tired. I'm a loser. They did like a little talk for an hour and they talked about the black-eyed kids. And they had like their son dress up as a black-eyed kid and walk throughout the audience.
Oh,
I was like, stay away from. Oh no, there was two kids. There was a girl and a boy, and they kind of came out of nowhere. He goes, and most of the time when you see them, they'll say, and then they shined a spotlight into the audience, and there are these two kids in like hoodies, and they're like, "Will you let me in?" And they walked around, and I was like, "Oh God, please don't come for me. I don't like that." But yeah, and then they kind of talked about how he was investigating the black-eyed kids, and they were at a library somewhere, and they looked out their window, and they saw a kid wearing all black and a black hoodie, just kind of like just standing there, like looking down at the ground with their hoodie on.
Oh.
And when they got in their car, the kid had disappeared, and as they got in their car and were leaving, they looked back in their rearview mirror, and there was a black-eyed kid.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
And my mom thinks they're aliens.
Aliens?
Mm-hmm. There's like, I don't know what the exact like reasons people think that are. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. But yeah, a lot of people think that they're aliens. And did you listen to the And That's Why We Drink episode of Black Eyed Kids?
I did not. I will now.
I
have enough of them. I did research.
There was one story where these black-eyed kids knocked on this person's door, and they were like, "Can we use your telegraph?" And freaking like early 2000s, and the guy's like, "What? No, I don't have a telegraph. What do you mean?" And they were like dressed like they were from the like early or the late 1800s, early 1900s or something.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm good.
They're creepy. Creepy.
Oh. Yeah, it's not pleasant at all.
No.
Außer der Snake Mythos. Go ahead, your quest.
Before we transition into my story, did Josh want to introduce himself since he's
He
listening?
is gonna wait until later into our podcast career.
He's gonna ride on our coattails once we become famous from this podcast.
He says yes. He's not. He's gonna be the infamous ghost fiance.
Ghost fiance.
Can you at least say hello, hon?
Hi.
Okay. He's really there, I promise.
You hear that?
No.
It was a
I'm
ghost.
dating a ghost child.
Oh, yikes.
Black-eyed child.
Oh
Honey, wait,
no!
what color is I?
Known now as a black-eyed kid. That's your legacy now, Josh.
He's chuckling. He's like a crazy person.
Like, alright, okay, whatever.
Alright. So Candace, what true crime story do you have?
Okay, well, mine is a little long, so I do apologize for that. My story is on the Texas killing fields and the murders of Rhonda Johnson and Sharon Shaw. I kind of debated on if I wanted to do almost like an anthology on this and like cover each girl's body that has been found in the Texas killing fields. But when I tried to look into it, there's not too much information as a whole onto like each of these girls' lives. All I could really find was like how old they were when they disappeared and when they were found. Yeah. Anyways, back to the Texas killing fields. So the Texas killing fields borders the Calder oil field. It's about a 25-acre plot off of I-45 from like Houston to Galveston. It's also known as the Highway of Hell. Since the early 1970s to 2006, nearly 30 bodies have been found, many with gunshot wounds to the head. They were mainly females, ranging from 10 to 25 years of age with similar features, leading some to believe that it's the same serial killer or even multiple serial killers. Many young girls and women have gone missing from the area, so there could still be more bodies that have yet to be discovered.
Oof.
Yeah, and it wasn't named the killing fields until the fourth body was found. League City Police, which is a city kind of on the highway near where a lot of the bodies were found, and FBI have yet to solve many of the murders. I believe to this day there's only one that has been for sure solved. Yeah. Basically, it's a really good place to dispose of a body because of the elements. It's very humid in the area, and there's also a lot of insects and animals that can pretty much take care of and decompose the body within a couple of days.
Ugh.
A reporter for the Texas Monthly named Skip Hollinsworth told CBS in an interview that it's a kind of environment that's sultry and sinister and easy to get to. You jump off of I-45, you drive down one of the dirt-rutted roads, you dump the body, and you're gone for good. People who live in the area won't go near it. So it's been a pretty seedy place since the beginning.
P.S. Listeners, we're recording this at like midnight, so this is like great time to be scared.
Yeah. Seriously, I'm gonna have to wake up early tomorrow for work. Nearly 2,100 sex offenders live in the area.
Well, that's a correlation I don't welcome.
Yeah. Or at least I should say that number was from like 1999. So as of 1999, there were nearly 2,100 sex offenders. So in 2011, they made a movie called The Texas Killing Fields about it, and the director was quoted saying it's a perfect place for killing someone and getting away with it. So basically, the movie stars Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who's in Sam Worthington. And for those of you who don't know, Sam Worthington's from Avatar, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan is that one guy with the baseball bat from The Walking Dead. I don't watch it, so I don't know his name. But anyways, the movie is based on the police trying to solve the murders. And I had thought about watching it before doing the podcast, but then I saw it had 3 out of 5 stars on IMDb, so take that for what you will. But anyways, they made the movie hoping it would urge people to come forward with anything they might have seen that could shed light on the murders. The director, and I hope I'm saying this right, it's Ami Kanan Man. I probably butchered that.
I looked it up. It looks like you said it mostly right. I don't know.
Mostly right. Wow, you looked that up quick.
Let's see.
Canon.
Ami, Kanan, Man. Yeah, but just
We'll
Ami.
go with that.
A.
Anyways, they commented saying you could actually see the refineries that are in the south end of Leak City. You could see the I-45, but if you yelled, no one would necessarily hear you. And if you ran, wouldn't be necessarily anywhere to go.
Oh, Candace. I think his name is Amy because it's a she.
Oh, she. Hey, I didn't know that.
Amy, Kanan, Man. Okay.
Good for you, Amy.
Okay.
Anyway, so at first, parents of the victims found in the field were really angry that the film was being made, but then realized that it could bring more attention to the fields and the cases, so they seem to be okay with it. So police departments have used many ways to try and solve these murders, and they include psychics and even hiding in trees and cemeteries to see if anyone would unearth the grave of recently dead teenagers to have sex with them. Yeah. So they were definitely looking for a sick individual. The first girl to disappear and found was Colette Wilson. She was 13, and they found her in June of 1971. And she was found with a gunshot wound to the head. The first 4 women found in the field were disposed of very similarly as well. They were nude, laying on their backs with their arms folded, and they were even placed within 1,000 feet of each other.
Oh.
Investigators believed the killer created a walking path, so he would come back and, quote, visually inspect his trophies one by one, end quote. That leads us to perhaps the 2 most famous victims from the Texas killing fields, Rhonda Johnson and Sharon Shaw. Both were 14. They were teenagers who disappeared in the afternoon of August 4th, 1971, after skipping school. Their bodies were discovered nearly 4 months later on January 3rd, 1972, around Clear Lake in Galveston, Texas. Michael Lloyd Self became a person of interest in May of 1972 after an anonymous tip was sent to police. He was a gas station attendant at the time, as well as a sex offender, and he worked near the area where the girls disappeared. When shown pictures, he revealed that he did recognize the girls, but that he didn't know them. According to Self, he was held for hours in confinement by Chief Michael Morris until they got a confession out of him. He claims that they held him against a wall and beat him with a nightstick and taunted him with pistols and threatened to kill him if he didn't get a confession from them. So yeah, this police chief Morris is a bad dude. Morris forced him to write a handwritten confession several times. Local investigator Dave Coburn corroborated the story when he claimed he saw he saw Morris do the same thing to another prisoner. So the final signed confession by Self contained many discrepancies, the biggest one being that he dumped the bodies in El Largo, which was over 20 miles from where the bodies were actually found. By the way, my mom is fostering kittens. So also in the final signed confession, he claimed that he strangled them to death, but medical examiners found no evidence of strangulation. 3 days after the final signed confession, he gave an oral confession that also conflicted. In his oral confession, he claimed that he picked up Shaw and Johnson from a Sizzler steakhouse and had driven them to El Largo to get Jack in the Box. He then claimed to have pulled over in a secluded area and hit them over the head with a Coca-Cola bottle. He stripped off their clothing and threw them on the highway. This is also a contradiction because their remains were found with their clothing.
This is still on. Ugh.
Yeah. It seems pretty apparent that he did not do this. He then claimed to have thrown their bodies in a culvert on Choate Road. So his trial began on May 5th, 1973, and ended September 18th, 1974. So his trial lasted for over a year. He was charged for the murder of Shaw, but not for Johnson's. I don't know what the reasoning behind that was. And then he was sentenced to life in prison. On October 9th, 1974, an appeal for the case was denied. Fun fact, Chief Morris and Deputy Tommy Wow, Candace, really? Deputy Tommy Deal, both who worked on the case, were charged with multiple bank robberies and were sent to prison.
Fun.
Obviously, they were some crooked cops, which
Yeah.
makes me wonder if they had anything to do with the killings. I don't know.
I don't know. It's kind of like, not to go on a political tangent, but I'm like, I feel like there's so much corruption now, and I feel like they are easily being called on bullshit when it's due. But like back then, I don't even know how it would go.
Exactly. And you have to remember at this time, DNA testing was not a thing.
Yeah. I just
Very-
remember watching some like TV shows about like I think it's Forensic Files or something where they had just started doing that and how eye-opening it was. But I'm just like, how do you but imagine how easy it would have been to frame somebody back then
Exactly.
and be like, "Oh, like you could easily it's kind of like when they show you like those scenes in movies all the time where as they're walking you to the interrogation room, they slip something in your back pocket to make you look guilty.
Like in
You can't even look for your DNA on it, you know? So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
like Jack from Titanic and a necklace. Okay.
All roads lead back to Titanic.
All
let's
waters.
see.
No.
Where was I? Oh, so Self tried multiple times for parole and he was denied each time. Eventually, he died of cancer in 2000 while still in prison. So he was never really able to clear his name, and to this day, we still don't know if he actually committed the murders or not. Many people, including his lawyer, a Galveston police officer, and a Harris County prosecutor, believe he was wrongfully accused. On April 2nd, 1980, a man suffering from psychosis admitted to the murders. He even told police he had tied the girls down with electric cord, a detail that had not been released to the public and something Self had never mentioned. He was dismissed by police, though, even though he lived in close proximity to one of the girls.
So why was he dismissed?
I don't know.
See, this makes me feel like it's corrupt too. Like, for all we know, he was like working with one of the cops or something, and they just didn't want that to be exposed.
To me, it was like either the cops were thinking two things. Like, number one, they already accused a guy, so they just wanted to, wipe their hands clean. They did their job, case closed. They didn't want to open it. Or they didn't want to admit, or I guess it could be both, they didn't want to admit that they had arrested and charged the wrong man for a crime he did not commit.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, fun times, huh? Oh.
Very fun. So in 1998, Edward Howard Bell confessed to killing many young women from the area. At the time of his confession, Bell was in prison for killing a Marine who attempted to get Bell to stop masturbating in front of a group of teenage girls. He has admitted to killing 11 girls, and he calls them the 11 who went to heaven.
Sicko.
Yes. So my next note, keep in mind, I did these notes about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I wrote, a secret organization brainwashed him to kill these girls. I think I meant to say that he claimed a secret organization had brainwashed him to kill these girls.
Sure.
He named Sean Johnson as 2 of the 11, but police did not have enough evidence to prosecute him, so he was never charged.
Oh, wait, did you dye your hair again?
No, I didn't. Does it look darker?
No, it looks like it's natural color again. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, it's definitely lightened. It's not pitch black anymore.
Okay.
Which is good, because I kind of want to dye it copper now.
Cool.
I have commitment issues. Help me.
I kind of want to get some blue or purple on mine, but I have a wedding to think about now.
Do it for the honeymoon.
Oh my gosh.
Are y'all gonna have your honeymoon like right after, or y'all gonna wait a while?
I think we're gonna have it right after.
Right after?
He's gonna surprise me with it, so I have no idea where I'm going.
Well, Josh, if you need help planning the honeymoon.
He is out of the room and taking a shower, so he does not hear you. But I'll
tell Josh.
repeat the message.
I would love to help plan that.
Do you wanna come with us?
Sure. Let me be a third wheel on your honeymoon. Y'all be
Everybody's dream is to be a third wheel on the
knock
honeymoon.
on the door like, I made popcorn. Y'all guys want some?
Oh my
We're like Amy Poehler from Mean Girls.
No. You guys need anything? A condo?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyways, back to murdered girls.
Okay. Amy
That
Poehler
was a really
murdered
bad
girl.
segue. Really bad. I regret that. I'm sorry. Like I said, I wanted to do stories on each individual girls, but instead I'm gonna honor them by saying their names and their ages. So let's see. There's Brenda Jones, 14. Colette Wilson, 13, Gloria Gonzalez, 19, Allison Craven, 12, Debbie Ackerman, 15, Maria Johnson, 15, Kimberly Pitchford, 16, Suzanne Bowers, 12, Brooks Bracewell, 12, Georgia Gear, 14, Sandra Ramber, 14, Heidi Villarreal, 5, 23, Laura Miller, 16, Shelley Sykes, 19, Suzanne Renee Richardson, 22, Lynette Bibbs, 14, Tamara Fisher, 15, Laura Smither, 12, Jessica Kane, 17, Tot Harriman, 57, Teresa Venegas, 16, Crystal Baker, 13, Jane Doe, 25, and Janet Doe, 31. So the last two bodies were never identified.
Oh my gosh. That's disgusting.
William Lewis Reese has been charged with 3 of the murders: Tiffany Johnston, Jessica Kane, and Laura Smither. But anyways, he is also suspected of killing Kelly Cox. He went to the fields to show police where Jessica Kane's body was, and Cox's body was found with hers as well. In April 2012, Kevin Edison Smith, 45, was charged for the rape and murder of Crystal Baker. Nearly 16 years after her body was found, police were able to positively identify Smith's DNA on Baker's dress. The jury deliberated for only 30 minutes before they found him guilty and convicted him to life without parole.
Oh, wow. Deserved, though.
Much deserved. I'm going to talk about one more suspect, but it's not confirmed. Another suspect is retired NASA engineer Robert Abel. He helped to design the Apollo 11, but he's also described as being a serial sexual offender, even though there is no proof. A lot of people in the town are afraid of him. They don't like him. He exhibits rage and violence, seen with serial killers. He's suspected to be responsible for the murder of the first 4 girls. He has property near the fields in League City where their bodies were found. Many people in town actually look to him when a girl goes missing. At one point, an angry mob once searched his property for cadaver dogs without a search warrant.
Oh.
Like a bunch of angry townspeople with pitchforks, I imagine, storming his property looking. There's no evidence to suggest he is the killer. He's never been arrested for a crime, but he says that his reputation has been ruined because of these allegations. During the original search, he was very eager to help police search the field, and he even gave them advice to what to do next during their investigation. In a routine questioning, the officer had no reason to suspect him, but Abel became angry and defensive when asked about the girls. He then later complained to the mayor about the officer, which is very suspicious. People also say that he fits the bill of a serial killer personality-wise because he's charismatic and, quote, bright, superior intelligence range, and therefore potentially a skilled imposter. In other words, he's able to fit into everyday society without drawing any suspicion. His ex-wife told investigators she was afraid of his fits of rage and would sometimes leave for a week at a time after one of these rages. He never hit her, but she witnessed him beat horses with metal pipes, and then when livestock would die, he would just leave their corpses out to rot and be eaten by scavengers.
That's very cheerful stuff.
And so that's that on that. The fields have remained quiet for over 10 years now. The last body was found in 2006. Yeah.
And I don't know, this gives me like Ted Bundy vibes. Just because that's been like a trend lately, which is disgusting.
No, it really has. I watched the Ted Bundy tapes on the film. I watched the first, or on the film, on the plane. I watched the first 3.
Oh, the
And
Netflix ones?
yeah,
I watched those too.
although I did fall asleep towards the end of the 3rd episode because I was so freaking tired. So I might have to watch that one again. I did see Ted Bundy's glasses on display at the Zach Bagans Museum.
Ugh. Did you get chills?
I did. He has a couple of rooms dedicated to serial killers.
Ugh.
And that's the part where I was so emotionally drained. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. And then I stopped and looked around and I was like,
Oh my gosh.
oh my god.
Josh opening the door just gave me a heart attack.
Black-eyed kid Josh, what's up? Can I help you plan y'all's honeymoon? I'm a great trip planner.
She says if you need any ideas, talk to her.
Alright.
Because apart from you, she probably knows me better than anyone. Tell him, let's see, I like junk food, I like not doing anything, and I like not being scared.
Alright, well, should we finish this thing with the tarot card read?
Sure.
Alright, I thought about shuffling them and doing it before we filmed, but I didn't get around to that. Anyways, so let's see. Wait, where's my book as well? Here it is. I really need a bigger desk for my room. I'm going to divide it into 3 stacks. Okay, so the card I picked was the 3 of Cups.
Ooh, what does that mean?
I don't know. Let's see. 7, 3 of Cups. It means friendship, joy, and bounty. The 3 of Cups is a lovely card. It foresees you in the company of amazing friends, creating memories together that you'll forever hold dear. These are not any old friends. They are people with whom you feel a rare connection with them. Or with them you feel truly yourself. Enjoy each minute of their company. This card can also indicate an upcoming celebration. Love abounds.
That's a nice thing to end this with.
Yeah, I love how positive these tarot cards have been, and I feel like they're really significant.
Yeah.
I was also gonna do a tea reading, but I feel like it didn't work last time, so.
I like the tarot cards.
But alright. Well, friends, this concludes episode 2 of Dead in the Heart of Texas. You can follow us on Twitter at DieTotPodcast. Or if you have anything you would like to email us, you can email us at deadintheheartoftexas@gmail.com. Until next time, I'm Candace.
And I'm Katie. No. Lock your doors and don't talk to creepy children.
Hey y'all, thank y'all so much for listening. If you're still here at this point, I really hope that you continue on this journey with us. Alright, see you next time.